Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2023 FBRL Hardee's National Series season. We are here at Daytona for 300 miles of super speed racing here at Daytona International Speedway, 2.5 miles long, as today is the start of a brand new journey, a brand new season. Eric Rodriguez scored the surprise pole of the weekend in the number 63 Flipside Motorsports Mercedes AMG. Starting alongside him is Bobo Jones in the number 54 Breeding Enterprises Dodge Dart. It's the start of a brand new season. Many changes, new rules. But it's the same old car that everyone's grown to know and love. Green flag in the air. We are underway here at Daytona for the first time in 2023. Coming off of turn 2, Nick Breeding from third place immediately makes him a charge towards the lead as he gets side by side with Rodriguez. Eric Rodriguez trying to be the first driver to lead a lap for Mercedes in the Hardee's National Series. But Breeding comes up, takes the lead. But Breeding may not hold that lead much longer. Here comes James Ellison from several rows back, who's going to get the lead here in the 93. For Shade Binyako Racing. Ellison comes up to try to cover the 9. Ellison leads the first lap of the season. Ellison picks up to the top lane. So far, the outside lane does not seem to be organized to start, as Gatlin Downey in the number 12 Toyota Supra for Fisher Motorsports assumes the lead now. He comes up to try to take up the inside, middle, and outside here. But look at this on the bottom lane here. Tyler Black and Cameron Lessard, the two Hondas, working together to get towards the lead here. As the front row is already getting shuffled backwards here. Here comes Lessard. Lessard at the line leads his first career lap in the Hardee's National Series, as these first 3 laps have been a merry-go-round of cars. Tyler Black moves up to the outside lane to pick up his teammate Cameron Lessard. They're going to try and get this outside line working here. Lane Sanders in the 97 jumps out towards the lead. Richard Johnson in the middle lane for Joseph Wrigley Racing, trying to establish himself up at the front. And you can see our front row already mired back outside the top 15. Rodriguez and Jones did not have the start I think they were hoping for. But right now it is a deadlock between this top 3. At the line there, I think Johnson leads the lap barely. He does. Actually, no, excuse me. Tyler Black leads the lap. They basically tied at the line. But Black's gonna lose some help here. Cameron starts struggling to keep up behind the 91 on the outside. Meanwhile, Wrigley, he's going to come up and pick up the 91. Sanders comes up to pick up the 41. Here comes Kyle Springer in the 2, with help from Noah Hart on the bottom. Springer getting a good shove here from the 2 Supras behind him. And Springer looking to lead his first lap. But Johnson on the outside muscles ahead to retake the lead in the number 10. So far, Richard Johnson is the only car to really establish speed here, as here's Griffin Lapham McDermott, the 62, for Single Z Racing, trying to get up towards the lead here. He gets a nice shove from Tim Fiegel. But Richard Johnson and the 91 in black seem to be working okay together so far. So far, I have to say, I think Richard Johnson in the early stages of this race may have the strongest car in the field. He is able to get that outside line moving, pending they can actually shove him forward. He leads another lap there. Lapo McDermott comes up to the middle lane. Fiegel comes down towards the bottom with help from Ryan Reed. So far, the top seems to actually be a workable lane as, whoa, Fiegel comes up to try to cover the top, but Richard Johnson was there. And Fiegel's now going to lose his shot at the lead here for the moment. Here comes Ryan Reed in the Mercedes AMG. Reed comes up down the bottom, getting a shove from Tyler Commons in the 44. And Ryan Reed looking to be the first driver to lead a lap for Mercedes in the Hardee's National Series. He does. Reed takes the lead. Here's Anthony Marchese in the number 57 Honda for Little Falls Motorsports. He is off the pace, 17 seconds behind the pack. 20 seconds now, excuse me. Anthony Marchese got into this race using the past champions provisional, which was why Little Falls Motorsports brought him in. And he put down one of the slowest times in the qualifying session of all 61 cars that attempted. And considering how the racing is up at the front, I think the 57 team may be running a patient strategy here of perhaps they are expecting an early big one, but running by themselves like this is not going to get this car many laps on it to get it checked down the draft, if it can even keep up in the draft. Back up at the front here, and Richard Johnson, I think he's finally been shuffled a little bit further back there. He was leading those top lines for a little bit, but it seems that people were able to muscle their way around him. So now Richard Johnson's going to have to try and find a way back up towards the front here. And here's Ryan Dagby in the number 20 for TJ Smith Incorporated. And he's going to lead a lap there. TJ Smith Incorporated fielding 2 cars this season, running last season's SG Motorsports equipment and running a technical alliance with the team, if I remember correctly. So going to be a very interesting team to look out for is the 20 and the 2. We saw Springer leading earlier, and now his teammates up at the front there. And in the lead, Ryan Griffin in the 3 for Nova Sport in their first ever Hardee's race. Trying to lead here up at the front there. Nick Pericles, however, now in the lead, and look who's behind him. It's Zachary Fitzwater in the 33. Fitzwater's trying to get the lead in the Fitzwater Racing Team car. He's got himself and his teammate Lilith Onyx getting that bottom lane working along with Sebastian Kukulon. But the Spa car is now working together. Pericles comes up to pick up Fiegel. And look at Kukulon in the 69. He would love to try and lead a lap for this team. The Kev Shear Racing Team, excuse me, making their first start ever with Sebastian Kukulon, a very well-respected driver, coming up through the ranks. He's trying to see what he can do for this team. So far, the Spa cars are running the show here for the past couple laps. Pericles and Fiegel have been holding the top 3 spots hostage there, as Lilith Onyx in the 59. I believe this is her first play race, and she's doing a pretty good job so far, getting help from Ryan Butcher in the 8 car. Sanders Performance Autosport, they barely got all their cars in by the skin of their teeth. The 90 and the 81 had to make it in on speed. Although in Pericles' case, Pericles had to use his provisional as he was bumped out of the top 10 at the very last second. And Major Robinson got the 10th and final spot for the team. And Tim Fecal already had the owner's points to be locked in, so it's been quite the uphill climb for Spa, but they have basically tackled every challenge quite well so far, as they're looking 4 wide behind them. And Locro, Onyx, they are on each other. And they somehow settle it there, but 4 wide at Daytona, yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but they did manage to get it settled. The 2 Spa cars continue to hold the lead, but we got a problem. It's Anthony Marchese in the 57 who's off the pace. And he is going to slide up into traffic. And luckily everyone picks him up. But Marchese, he is going to absolutely kill this outside lane. Pericles now stuck behind the 57. That was not what he wanted. I don't think that's what Fiegel wanted either. That gets rid of one of his teammates. And Marchese seems to sort of be holding on here. Oh, kind of slapped the wall a little bit there, but let's just pretend that didn't happen. Marchese, he seems to be holding up okay, although I think the outside's a little bit slower now because of it, but I wonder if the 57 just didn't get a good start, because it looks like it could compete in the draft. Probably, but that outside lane is heading backwards, though. Dom Caps in the number 6. Mitsubishi trying to get Mitsubishi's first lap lead. His fellow Mitsubishi brother, Shade Eves, is currently in the middle lane there, as Dom Caps leads the first lap for Mitsubishi. But he may not have that lead for very long. Here comes Bouchard in the 82 Red Bull Racing Honda Accord. Daniel Bouchard managed to qualify in on speed, however, at the expense of his teammate, who he knocked out in the process of qualifying in for this race. So Bouchard, the lone Red Bull, trying to see what he can do to try and give this team something to smile about at the end of the weekend. I'll tell you what, though, no one's just been able to really hold that lead for too long. Just a lot of guys making moves here. And speaking of moves being made, here comes Hernandez 4 wide beneath the 12 of Downey and Corey Williams. And can they hold it together here? Oh boy. Oh, they're 4 wide for the lead. Ellison's got the lead, but they're 4 wide at the line. At Daytona, they are double stacked 4 wide in the first 2 rows of the field. Oh, this does not look good. Somehow they're holding on to this, but they need to get this settled. Springer immediately gets to the outside lane to stop this, but Downey and Williams, they're on the straightaway hitting each other. And they're still 4 wide, and they're somehow holding on to this thing. Oh, they're about to go 4 wide again for row 2. Here comes Jeff James beneath Lassard. And they are just barely holding this together. Downey and Elson may have made some slight contact. Meanwhile, Kyle Collins is taking the lead. But someone needs to settle this here. Ooh, Ellison, I think he's trying to slot in behind the 12, but Downey doesn't have any drafting help. But he clears him there, and that was a hard way through the roof moment there, as goodness gracious, 4 wide Daytona, and somehow these guys held on to it. Look at this here, Richard Johnson trying to squeeze beneath Black and Dagby for the lead here, trying to get the lead back. And they're 4 wide again. Fitzwater trying to get the lead in the 33. You don't want to put an old man like Fitzwater 4 wide. The entire nursing home is going to blow up. But look at this 4 wide. Dagby, Johnson making some slight contact off of turn 2. And Ryan Griffin, he's making it 4 as well. Fitzwater gets slotted out of line. I don't think that 33's got the strength to really lead a line. But Goodness gracious, they're barely holding on there. Richard Johnson almost just hooked the 20 of Dagby into the wall. That would have been really ugly. We're coming up on pit stops here, and thank goodness, because these guys are just racing like it's the last lap. Every lap. Here we go. Pit stops have begun here. Ryan Butcher at the last second comes out to the pit lane as a bunch of cars come scrambling to pit road. First pit cycle of the day. Here comes the next group here. Commons leads the bottom lane towards pit lane here. As, oh, we got contact. Brandon Beal in the 77's around. Something happened to Beal. Contact the pit road. Tim Foster has heavy front damage. That 11 is busted up. I think he may have hit the 87 of Tim Fiegel. Here are the remaining cars to come to pit road. Downey leads Collins and a handful of others to pit road. I think Richard Johnson has actually stayed out as well. Richard Johnson now going to come to pit road. He stayed out really long. And I think he was the only car to go an extra lap here. Oh, no, I take that back. Bouchard is going to come down with him. So I think the 10 and the A2 are trying to see if they can pull something off with fuel here, maybe. Trying to run those extra couple of laps, but they're going to perhaps lose the lead draft because they went slower.
What is up, guys? So I hope you all enjoyed this cover of...
So we saw what happened. Brandon Beal got spun around, but what happened here to cause this? Oh, Bobo Jones hit the back of the 45 of Justin Henley, and Tim Fiegel and Foster, not realizing the massive melee happening in front of them, just comes in and clobbers each other. Let's watch Tim Fiegel here. Ooh, Fiegel just does not get a good enough stop there, and Tim Foster, with just nowhere to go, just clobbers the side of Fiegel. No caution came out for this, but a heavy damage for Fiegel, and I think Tim Foster is now out of this race. Up at the lead here, Nick Pericles has assumed the lead in the number 90. And the entire pack has basically been split apart. So right now, this lead pack, as it stands, contains Nick Pericles, Kev Shear, Ryan Butcher, Gatlin Downey, Ryan Reed, Dom Capps, Kyle Collins, Sebastian Kukalon, Tyler Commons, and Zachary Fitzwater maybe as well. If he can just get to the draft here, he's trying. And we can't confirm Tim Foster is out of this race. They're putting the 11 car behind the wall. And that's a shame for Foster. He didn't really get to show off much of this race, and that's a terrible way to go. Tim Fiegel in the 87. He is being shown the black flag. If you are unaware, if you haven't been keeping up, super speedways for the Hardee's National Series have a minimum speed rule. And the minimum speed rule is basically you have to keep at a certain miles per hour to be able to stay in the race. To try and lessen the amount of issues caused by lap cars, the minimum speed is 180. Fiegel is running basically a top speed of 178 after that damage he incurred. So he is done for the day. He will join Tim Foster in the garage. So here are the cars that are behind the main pack here. Lilith Onyx and Ryan Griffin doing each other no favors, running side by side there. Here's the second pack of cars being led by RJ Bishop and Corey Williams here. So these guys are going to need to try and get organized here and catch this lead pack. They're running down Onyx and Griffin, so they're going to get 2 extra cars to try and catch that lead pack. But as it stands, they're currently running a little bit slower than those guys. So right now, the top 11 is stuck together here in this first pack. And they are running 3 wide for the lead here. There's the 77 of Brandon Beal. Now Beal incurred a damage on entry, but he's actually managed to keep up past the minimum speed. But he's about to go lap down because they had to spend an extra 30 seconds fixing the damage. So he's going to have to try and blend back in with this pack. But I think the 77 team's really hoping for a caution here. He should be able to blend in quite nicely, I believe. Comes down to the top lane. Pericles lost momentum trying to get around him. That's going to give Kev Shear the lead back. Anthony Marchese. One lap down the 57 car, hoping for a lucky dog. So in case you're not aware with the new lucky dog rule, when a caution comes out, the highest running car minus 1 laps down that does not get involved in the caution gets to get a free wave round, including a pit stop. So if a caution would come out, as it stands, Brandon Beal in the 77 would get the wave around. So Marchese, who dropped out of the pack to try and avoid a big one, he is now having to hope that he can catch that 77 of Beal. Now, fortunately, they've got a large pack of cars forming here, so they may be able to run down those leaders here, but they're going to have to really pick it up because you cannot risk falling behind if you are in this group here. Top 11 here still up at the front, holding this lead. But there's a large pack of cars behind them here. It's going to be very interesting to see if they can catch them. Despite the difference in cars, though, this lead pack has actually been running away from that second pack. So despite the number disadvantage, they're doing a good job here. Just trying to build a lead here. And if you're in this group of cars, you want that because it allows you to get away, which gives you time to get a bigger gap the longer this race goes on, especially if it somehow goes caution-free. But meanwhile, if you're in the second pack, you're hoping that someone somewhere spins because it's going to be a long day if you can't get up to the lead at a play track. Oh boy, here, back in the second pack, they're going 4 wide. Just like they were early in the race here, Stuart Graham makes it 4 wide on Marchese. And that's not going to help you catch anybody here. Ooh, 4 wide in the triangle. Griffin and Marchese make contact. They're in the wall. They're up against the wall. The caution's out as a melee happens in the second pack. Marchese, Ryan Griffin, Tyler Black, Corey Williams involved. And oh boy, oh, Vargas, Rain, Jones, watch it. They avoid it. Caution is out for the first time today. And it's got Marchese and a heavily damaged Ryan Griffin for Nova Sport. That's a shame. That 3 car was doing pretty good today. Let's see what happens here. Well, we kind of saw what happened here. Just, this was kind of inevitable at this point. Marchese comes up into Griffin. Griffin just comes back down, and then, yeah, they just went head straight into the wall. Cameron Lassard took a nasty hit to the outside. And Tyler Black with heavy damage on his right side as well. From the spectator's camera, let's see this one more time. Yeah, Marchese, Griffin, just, you can't be doing that there. And oh, Jeff James also took a big hit into the wreck as well. And a lot of good cars got involved in that one. And Shade Eves, he gets a piece of it too right at the very end. He hit the side of the 3. Oh, Noah Hart, he's coming down to pit road. He's got a tire down the 18. Ryan is there racing back towards the caution flag. And Hart, he misses pit road. Can't come to a close pit, and he spins in the middle of the track. Right as he came to take the caution. And he is going to be slowly towed back to his pit stall. And that was something. I am not sure how to describe that one. So here's what happens to Noah Hart. Noah Hart, actually, his tire blows here, and you're probably thinking, oh, this is where he was coming back to caution. Like, no, this is the lap prior. So Hart comes down towards pit lane with the tire going down, but he decides not to pit. Now, the caution's not at this point, but here's possibly why he didn't pit. They were running 4 wide at this point, and this is where the wreck happens. So Noah Hart, I think his team may have told him, hey, they're 4 wide, stay out on the racetrack so we don't lose more than a lap, because here comes Hart around one more time. Here was the lead pack here. They go by him. Hart gets out of the way very gracefully. So Noah Hart here, you can see, he decided not to pit to try and not lose another lap here, but he misses pit road again because it's a closed pit, and as a result, the tire blows, and Hart does a sick dance move in the tri-oval, and has to now get towed back towards his pit box because he couldn't make it around one more time on the tire. That is one of the strangest things I have ever seen in the Hardee's National Series. And we're being told that Major Robinson has damage. And yeah, let me guess. Bam! Into the back of Cameron Lessard. Yikes. That is not an uncommon sight at Daytona, unfortunately. As Major slammed the back to 84, and we got more in the back as well. Marchese hits the back of, I think that was either the 27 or the 91, and now Corey Williams with heavy front end damage, and Ryan Griffin with more damage than he already had. Yikes. Ryan Butcher wins the race off pit road. And what has been probably some of the strangest 3 laps we have ever seen here in the Hardee's National Series. But it's Ryan Butcher in the 8 car who keeps the lead. Here's Brandon Beal, and he has the honors of having the first ever, the honors of being granted the first ever lucky dog in the Hardee's National Series, as he was the leading car a lap down. So he will come around and will get his lap back as we take one to green at the line. So Brandon Beal is now back in this race in the number 7 Honda Accord. Pace car is off for the restart here. We are approaching the halfway point of this Daytona 300. Ryan Butcher is your leader in the 8 car for Shade Bianco Racing. Butcher leads. Kyle Collins from 3rd place immediately makes a move on Gallon Downey for 2nd place here, but does not have any help as Tyler Cummins in the 44 elects to help the 22. Or not. Okay, he's going to go help Kyle Collins instead. And he's going to pick up Ryan Dagby as everyone's trying to scramble. Yeah, you can see everyone's moving all over the place trying to get themselves a drafting partner to get up towards the lead here. Got to push who you can because you cannot risk losing this lead pack here. So a handful of DNFs here. Ryan Griffin is out. Corey Williams, Jeff James are out as well. So Curtis Racing loses 2 of their 4 cars within a 1-lap span. And that's a shame as Jeff James and Corey Williams, two veterans of FBRL, they are out. Ryan Griffin for Nova Sport, they were having a really good weekend, but unfortunately they are out as well, which leaves Zachary DeLello as the lone Nova Sport car left in the race here. Here comes Nick Breeding, the defending series champion in the 9 car. We have not really seen him much at the front today, but he's got a massive run here. And look at Breeding. Breeding with a head of steam entering turn 3 without a lot of drafting help. Dabby's a bit behind him. But Breeding is going to launch out to the lead here in the 9 car here for Rodriguez Racing. I know that is not a mistake. Nick Breeding, who drove the 54 last season, has switched over to the 9 car. With the 54 now being operated by Breeding's team of Breeding Enterprises. You can actually, we mentioned this in qualifying, I believe. If you look at the rear deck lid of the 9 car, it does have a 54 on it to commemorate the championship that they won last season. So, and Breeding looking to avoid the sophomore, well, the not sophomore, the defending champion slump. But he's looking quite strong here so far as Ryan Butcher retakes the lead here. I tell you what, that 8 car looking pretty good. Butcher looking strong. Breeding looks pretty quick. Kyle Collins has been up at the front for most of today as well, as we're coming up on the halfway point. 2 more victims of the minimum speed rule. Despite drafting with each other, the damage is just too much, as Anthony Marchese and Major Robinson have been black flagged and are being called to pit road. Their races are over. A shame for Marchese and Little Falls Motorsports. They were really hoping for something this weekend, but unfortunately they just didn't get it. Here's Noah Hard. He rejoined the race 2 laps down after having to be towed to pit lane, so he certainly scored some points for the his moves in the tri-oval after blowing that tire, but he's now in a bit of a tough situation here as he is not in the lead pack here. I think this 18 is not damaged. Like, it doesn't have any, it didn't acquire much damage. It just had a blown tire, so this is a car that could potentially be up the front, but they just don't have the track position because of where he restarted. And it doesn't help he's 2 laps down. Oh, it's getting dicey at the front again. They're 4 wide. Oh, the last time they went 4 wide, it didn't go very well. It worked well the first couple times, but they tested their luck there as Shear and Pericles made contact in the tri-oval. They hit again. And they're 4 wide now for 4th place as Hernandez sticks his nose underneath the 2 TJI cars. Oh, this is tight here. I don't think anyone likes this situation here.
What is up, guys? So I hope you all enjoyed this cover.
Off at turn 2 here. Shear makes contact with the 90. Pericles and him in a round. And there we go. Here's the big one. Massive melee at the middle of the back straightaway. And they're still hitting each other. Oh, Tyler Black slams the back of the 88 car. Whoa, 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 whoa. Lilith Onyx from way back just came in and clobbered the hell out of the back of the field. A massive melee on the back straightaway, and that's maybe half the field. Tyler Commons with heavy damage. Justin Henley with heavy damage, and then blown engine, both of the AFRT cars involved. Onyx, DeLello, Pericles, Tyler Black, he is destroyed. That 99 was hammered really badly. Ryan Reed with right side damage. My goodness. The big one has struck here at Daytona, and it's involved maybe half the field. Here was the wreck that happened in the inside part of the racetrack here as James Ellison and Lane Sanders got shoved into the infield, and luckily that helped them as they didn't get as much damage in the wreck there. But man, that was a nasty hit for Tyler Black. And how about a shout out to Brandon Beal? That was an absolutely incredible wreck avoidance by the 77 car. Beal was way at the back, and he just schmoozed his way right through that wreck with perfect precision. Here's Lilith Onyx here. She was way behind this pack of cars here that wrecked, and we saw her just drill. I think it was the 80 of DeLello and Onyx. I mean, oh, that barely looked like Onyx slowed down for the wreck. That was really bad. On board with Onyx here to see if she even... Does she even let off the gas here? No! Oh, that is terrible. Lilith Onyx. What on earth was that? Clocked in 178 on contact. And yeah, that is Lilith Onyx, who is hasn't had a lot of starts in the Hardee series, and that was a really, really bad moment there. She's okay, but my goodness, that was not smart. Well, we have reached the halfway point of today's race at Daytona, and the big one, it has finally struck, and this results in a lot of torn up cars. We're about to hit one to green here. Here's Noah Hart getting his lucky dog, so he's going to get one of his 2 laps back, as he was the only car that was a lap or more down. That melee took out a good chunk of cars. Lilith Onyx and Zachary Fitzwater both out. Fitzwater's engine blew, making contact with somebody. So both the Fitzwater Racing Team cars. And we've also been told that even if the 59 could continue, she has been parked for the rest of the race. Tyler Commons, Zachary DeLello, Nick Pericles, Justin Henley, Tyler Black, all out of this race. So here's Hart coming around to get his lap here as trouble. Butcher's gone down to the apron. What's going on here? Butcher is pulled over. Something may be wrong. Butcher, I think he may have ran. He's got a tire down on the A car, similar to how Hart blew a tire. But how could a tire blow under pacing here? I mean, they just put the tire on. It didn't come off. Unless maybe we're being told they think they may have ran over some leftover debris from the crash, which would explain a lot, but they cleaned it up, so... Oh boy, Ryan Butcher, they're about to go green. Collins is confused. He should line up with the pace car, but he's giving Butcher space. I think he's worried that Butcher may spin. But we got a situation here. Ryan Butcher, they're waving him to pit road. They got to get that tire fixed, and right as we're about to go green too. So he's going to potentially lose a lap here. Collins, I don't think he's sure what to do. I think he's just trying to be nice to Butcher and make sure he's got space to operate, which is very nice of him. But pace car's down, picks up Butcher. We're going green. Collins has assumed the lead suddenly after a tire puncture from Ryan Butcher. We are back under green, and what went from a relatively calm and respectful race has now turned into a very, very eventful one. Collins takes the lead, Breeding in second place here as we begin the second half of this race. Here's Kev Shear in the 0 car. We didn't get a chance to talk about what triggered that wreck. We know it was 4 wide, but it looked like we saw from the onboard of Eric Rodriguez, if I saw that correctly, it looked like Pericles just slightly came down on Kev Shear, and that's what caused the melee. And that's why 4 wide Daytona is not really recommended. And now it's put a lot of damaged cars here. You can see Eric Rodriguez in the 63. He doesn't even have his hood anymore. Ryan Reed is off the pace. He's been involved in 2 wrecks today already. So that was just making his day even worse than it already was. But you can see this back of the field trying to get organized to catch this main pack here as Richard Johnson retakes the lead in the 10. Ryan Butcher's back out on track. He is roughly 30 plus seconds behind the lead pack, so he is going to have to hope for a caution here as he does not want to fall 1 lap down. He's at the tri-oval while the leaders are coming up on turn 4. So they will catch Butcher if this stays green. But you can tell it's definitely not what he wants. Eric Rodriguez and Ryan Reed have been black flagged. They have failed to meet minimum speed, and that's a shame for the 2 Mercedes cars. Rodriguez won the pole in a massive pole position upset, and unfortunately got involved in that wreck. And his Daytona debut in the 63 car is going to come to an abrupt end. And we're back to 4 wide already because that went so well the last 2 times, but they're insisting on it. Lapo McDermott and Dagby side by side here. And, oh boy, this is not looking pretty here. Oh boy, so Dagby, you need to get to the top. Yeah, smart. By the way, how about Brandon Beal here on lap 69? And what was a very, very nice wreck avoidance on the 77's part. They have managed to go from a lap down back into the top 5. And they obviously have a car that could contend today. And not only, so, I mean, the timeline events here, got damaged entering pit road on the green flag pit stop, lost a lap, got it back from the lucky dog, managed to avoid the carnage, and basically gained, I think, over 20 positions. He restarted 6th, and now he's back in the hunt as he is now in 4th place, looking for 3rd, and trying to help Luis Hernandez get the lead. So what a comeback by Brandon Beal in the 77 car. That just shows you the resilience of these drivers. They are not going to give up. As Hernandez in the 00 takes the lead. His teammate Kyle Collins up in the top lane. Hernandez is going to pick him up. But Collins elects not to take the help. He's just going to go right underneath his teammate. That's, I'm not sure that's wise. But Brandon Beal in the 77 trying to take the lead here. And what would be a massive popular move here if he can contend for this win today. We have around 50 laps to go. So at the very, very far end of the field, we have the 27 of Shade Eves, who has damage in that Mitsubishi car for Spark Sport. We have Bobo Jones in the Breeding Enterprises 54, Kev Shear in the Shade Banyako Racing 0 car, and the 71 of RJ Bishop. So these guys are running in a 4-car pack, and get this. So remember, the minimum speed is 180 miles per hour. This group of 4 in the draft together is perfectly running 180. So, apologies, hiccup, but this is bordering basically on the edge of just barely staying in this race. So, these guys are gonna, and the funny thing is if these guys lose draft, they're out of this race. So they kind of have no choice but to stick together here if they want to have any chance of gaining positions here. So this is gonna be very interesting to watch, especially when the pack catches them. Here's the second pack being led by Gallon Downey, as not everyone was able to get back together. Downey leading the second pack of cars, less cars than the front pack here. There's, look at this, Noah Hart shoving Lane Sanders. Hart got one of his laps back. He's trying to get another one back, but he's going to need another caution for that to happen. And he's kind of has to get what he can here because they're about to lap Ryan Butcher, and he needs to be able to pounce on Butcher if Butcher is not able to keep up in the draft. Hernandez and Collins, the two Curtis cars, working sort of together here. These guys know that they have a bit of an advantage here because they actually are teammates, so they can work together here. You could see, you could saw in the left side corner of the screen, they're catching Butcher. Now Butcher has a car that should be able to keep up with these guys. But right now it is the Curtis Racing Show up here at the front, as they are holding these two lines hostage. Similar to the Spa cars. We saw how well the Spa cars were handling themselves at the front, but unfortunately all three of them are gone. Richard Johnson makes it 3 wide here as they are running down Butcher. Now Butcher's going to have to make a choice on which lane he's going to hold up because he's going to have to pick somewhere. And he's going to pick, I think, the top. He's being a bit indecisive. That's not smart. Yeah, okay. Well, they didn't wreck, so I guess it worked, but I can't imagine Collins is too thrilled about that one. But Richard Johnson, we saw how well that 10 car was holding up at the front earlier today, so we know this 10 car's got a potential race-winning car on their hands. But how about Kyle Springer in this 2 car as well? He's looking really good right now, and he has his teammate Ryan Dagby in this pack, so TJI looking pretty good here in a good position. This is a very interesting lead pack of cars here. You got Doug Lockrow, who got his best finish for this team at this track last season, and a massive top 5 upset for Gallon Downey Incorporated. And not only that, we also have the 2 TJI cars, as we mentioned, and we have 2 of the single Z racing cars, Cody Goforth in the 92 and Griffin Lapo McDermott in the 62. So some mid-pack teams, even lower pack teams if you count TJI, really showing some stuff here, and they are racing with the big teams. Allison Rain in the 23 Fisher Motorsports, she takes the lead for a brief moment. As, go for it, slide, okay, he slowed up in the rain for a second there, but backed out of it. Ooh, Kyle Collins squeezes beneath the 62 of Lapham McDermott, and, well, we're doing this again, huh? Oh, Collins is gonna make it 4 wide. I don't think McDermott expected that, and I'm not sure this is smart. Ooh, McDermott, Breeding, make contact there. I'll tell you what, though, I'm not sure this is smart. I mean, this is a pack of cars that is kind of battling for the win here. They're going to have to pit one more time, but they're way ahead of everyone else, so there's not much of a need to fight each other like they did earlier, but they're running 4 wide again. Collins has the lead, trying to block Butcher, who is trying to get his lap back here. I think Butcher sees what's behind him, is now trying to hurry up and get his lap back here. But I just don't think this is smart. Someone needs to back out of this. But Breeding, he's trying to fit his way beneath Dagby. Oh boy, this is not good. Breeding is trying to force his way through this pack of cars. He is now making contact with Beal. By the way, Breeding's doing this with no help. He is forcefully trying to get his way through like he's Ben Roethlisberger or something, and is now trying to get the lead here. That 9 looks like it could basically draft on its own without any help. Man, that was some tight stuff from Breeding. I mean, I'll give him credit. That was a really strong power move, but that could have been horribly, that could have gone horribly wrong. But he's now looking towards the lead, so I guess no harm, no foul. Less than 40 laps to go here. Flashback, Daniel Bouchard, he has been black flagged as well. He's black flagged a couple laps ago, as he failed to meet the minimum speed. So Red Bull Racing, unfortunately, what was a very rough start to the weekend, is now going to end even rougher. But at least one of their cars made the race. Nick Breeding has taken the lead, but check out this group of cards here. Kyle Springer, who is fighting Breeding here. Ooh, Breeding climbs up. Springer tried to go with them here, but how about Sebastian Kukulon in the Kevshire Racing Team car in their first ever start, running in this lead pack here, and they're 4 wide again. This time they're double stacked 4 wide, just like we saw earlier. But whoa, Kukulon, Lockrow, Hernandez in the wall. Lapo McDermott gets hooked into the wall. And cautions back out. And that should give Noah Hart the lucky dog, maybe, although Butcher was ahead, but I think he was involved in the crash. But another big melee, a smaller one, but once again, racing 4 wide. Man. Let's watch this again here. Just, I mean, I have to say, this was completely not necessary. I mean, this lead pack of cars had a chance at this win locked if they had just stayed calm. But Lockrow, Kukulon got together, and that sent a melee of cars. And McDermott, unfortunately, gets tagged and gets shunted into the outside wall. And that's a shame. A lot of these guys are teams that were looking for a really good finish, and this is not going to help. So right now, the officials are checking to see if Ryan Butcher was involved in this wreck or not, and yes, he made some slight contact with Collins, which means he was part of the crash, which means he is not lucky dog eligible. So Noah Hart, I think, is going to be the lucky dog, so we will see. It looked like Butcher did at least hit some part of the 41, although it didn't look like major contact. For what could be the final pit stop of the day, Nick Breeding, your leader, filling that car up as much fuel as possible. He is going to keep the lead in the number 9 car. Kyle Springer comes out second, and Cody Goforth comes out third. Now they are going to be right at the edge of the fuel window here. So this is going to be very interesting. I think they should make it. We saw Richard Johnson go about 35 laps, and we have 35 laps to go. And that's not including pacing, so... Oh, Ryan Butcher, who stayed out to potentially get a wave around, has had something wrong happen to him again. On the last caution, right as they were coming to green, Butcher blew a tire. But listening to the 8th, that's not a tire, it sounds like an engine. Oh yeah, you can hear that 8 does not sound healthy. I think the 8, I wonder if that slight contact with Kyle Collins in that wreck may have unbuckled something in the car and caused the engine to blow up. but he's done. Well, that's a shame. Ryan Butcher got involved in that crash despite needing a caution. He got involved in it, but he's not even going to be able to even argue for a lucky dog, even if he had made contact or not. How about this? Noah Hart in the 18, who got towed to pit road earlier in the race, fell 2 laps down. He is now back on the lead lap, and last year's Daytona winner may still have some hope to defend his victory, but he's going to have some work to do still. With less than 40 laps to go, Nick Breeding, his teammate, is the leader, with Kyle Springer, Cody Goforth in 3rd, Sebastian Kuklon in 4th, and Brandon Beal in 5th. Just over 30 laps to go here at Daytona. We've had a lot of different wrecks and some shenanigans, to put it mildly. But the question is this the final restart of the day? Green flag, Nick Breeding, your leader, at the line. So that caution is going to put a bunch of cars who we thought were out of it now back in this. Gatlin Downey, who was leading that second pack, is now in this race once more. Same case for Stuart Grad, same case for Lane Sanders. But these guys need to get organized. They need to get together so that they can pull away again. You can see everyone scrambling back here trying to get the draft of the leaders. But a lot of these guys have been involved in melees today, and some of them were just in that lead pack. Kyle Collins got involved in the wreck. Ryan Dagby got involved. Hernandez involved. Lapo McDermott, Allison Rain, Lockrow. These guys were just competing for the lead, and now the question is whether they're going to be able to make the minimum speed. Single file briefly for the moment. Nick Breeding is your leader. Cody Goforth, Brandon Beal, 2 Hondas. Right behind him, Beal immediately makes a dive towards the bottom lane. Everyone trying to get track position here. They all want to compete for this win, so they know they've got to get themselves established. But Nick Breeding, who we saw just had an absolutely incredible car racing through the pack. He drove through the middle of the field to get to the lead, and he might have the strongest car left in this race here, because he is just by himself pulling away from cars who are in the draft. Here comes Kyle Springer in the 2 car. Springer now making a move towards second place in the 2 car, fitting for the car number. Well, you can see we are spreading out super hard here. That restart really checked up a lot of different guys, I think, because the pack, well, one, we had a wreck, so the pack's smaller, obviously, but at the same time, I think it's just how single file restarts are. You have to get yourself set up so that you can compete up at the lead. And we have some cars who I think are kind of struggling here. Sebastian Kukulon restarted 4th, but he's having some trouble. I wonder if maybe I think he did get some damage in that wreck, but it wasn't anything crazy. But, you know, but this is a very aero-dependent racetrack, so any small amount of damage can really change how your car drives, and this might be the case. I mean, Collins, who was involved in the crash too, he's just going to go right by. And Christian Vargas and Stuart Grad, these two are trying to catch the tail end of this pack that's starting to form, but I think they're going to have a little bit of a tough time here. Ryan Butcher has gone back out on track in the 8 car, but he is about 10 miles per hour below the minimum speed, and they're black flagging him. Yeah, I mean, I can't fault Butcher for getting the car out there because they're just trying to make sure that they get as many positions they can, but that car is going to be a hazard if they didn't pull it over. Here are the other cars who are trying to make the minimum speed. Doug, Lockrow, Rain, Lappa, McDermott. These guys are just under it. I think they're about to be black flag too. So they were able to get Breeding out of the way for a brief moment here, as now Cody Goforth and Kyle Springer battle for the lead. 7-car pack here, up ahead of the rest of the field. About 80 laps ago, well, about 50 laps ago, we had a 40-car pack, and now we're down to 7 for the lead. Stuart Gratton, he is trying to get this draft, but I don't think that 16's just got the hops to be able to get there in time. Christian Vargas has now been caught by the formed second pack of cars being led by Noah Hart, who has now gone up to 9th place in the 18 car. How about this? Now, they're going to have to try and find some way to catch that lead pack, but I just think these guys are... There's damaged cars running here, and you can see Hart by himself is just pulling away. I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to catch that lead pack. He's going to need another caution, I think, to have a shot at this win. But man, how about Cody Goforth here? I mean, up here in the lead, ran and for Single Z Racing, replacing Sebastian Kukalon. A lot of people really curious to see how he's going to do this year. Is Beal and Sanders now? What are they doing? They're slamming each other on the back straightaway. They keep it together, but guys, it's still 25 to go. That's not necessary, but Sanders now making a move towards the lead. And for the time being, this race for the win is going to be decided between these 7. But considering Sanders and Beal are already slamming the hell out of each other on straightaways, despite being in this pack, this might not be the last time we get a caution today. 20 laps to go here at Daytona. Cody Goforth is still your leader in the number 92. Unfortunately lost his teammate Griffin Lappa McDermott in the crash, so he's going to be lacking some help. However, he does have a fellow Honda brother in Brandon Beal, who is the one of the big comeback drivers of the day. But I tell you what, I think the man to beat is that 9 of Breeding. Just look at how well that car just powers through the corners. He just, by himself, basically, is just passing cars left and right. And he doesn't even have a teammate with him. The closest thing to a teammate he's got is Downey over there behind him. And a driver I'm kind of surprised is not leading is Richard Johnson, this 10 car. We saw him lead really well earlier in the race, but now the 10 car seems to be struggling. I wonder if he may have attained some damage somewhere that we missed, or that I missed, because that car just does not seem to have the power it did before. So they're still in this, mind you, but it definitely feels like they're not as strong as they were. Breeding still leads here. I mean, that 9 just, it's so good everywhere. There's no weakness to it here. Here comes Kyle Springer to the bottom lane. Springer trying to make a move for the lead here. I think he knows that getting Breeding behind him is a smart idea, but he's got kind of no help here. And Sanders elects to go with the 9. Sanders shoving Breeding forward here. Goforth trying to help Springer, but they don't got much help. Coming up on 15 to go. We are coming up on the lap traffic. Cars who are running at 180. They're barely running the minimum speed. That's Lockrow, Rain, and Griffin Lappa McDermott. And what's going to happen here? They go to the bottom lane. They move towards the top. And whoa, Goforth trying to find a way past, but doesn't want to wreck somebody. Gets trapped behind Lockrow. And Goforth needs to get down to the bottom. Springer dives down to the bottom himself. And whoa, Lockrow goes to the bottom lane. Does not give Goforth the room to move. Whoa, Goforth up against the wall. Oh no, Rain now moving through. Oh no, Goforth's been boxed. Goforth's been boxed between lap cars. Oh no, Cody Goforth, he's trying to push his teammate forward to try and get out of this box, but he's about to lose the lead pack with 15 to go. Oh, a massive disaster for Goforth. He was the unlucky man in that situation. Then Locker moved down. That boxed him in. And Goforth finally gets cleared of the 22. But he needs to hurry. He's got to somehow get that draft back if he can get to it. But he's... Oh, no, he's not getting that draft back. Cody Goforth, who had such a strong car and may have been one of the favorites to win this. He is in deep trouble. And what was a 7-car pack has now become a 6-car pack with 14 laps to go. The wackiness of this race just continues. Cody Goforth has lost touch with the lead pack, and he's now going to be in danger of falling to the second pack, who is 13 seconds behind. But it all comes down to these 6 cars. Now, there is some talk that some teams think they may be short on gas. However, no one from this pack has indicated that there's a problem with their fuel, so we'll see how that develops. But right now, it is Nick Breeding who is just absolutely destroying these guys right now. But I'll tell you what though, Kyle Springer in this 2-car, we've been seeing him dicing it up with that 9 a couple of times. I think Springer may have a car that could compete with Breeding here. And here he comes down below to try and get the lead from Breeding. I think Springer may be Breeding's biggest rival right now to contend for this win. He's the only one that seems to be able to match the 9 on the straightaways a little bit here. Side by side for the lead. This number 2 car running the same equipment that got a top 5 here last season. This is the old SC Motorsports equipment, and you can see just how well it is handling here. You can tell that they brought the Daytona setup that they put together for Patrick Smith last year. They are dead serious about trying to win this. But you can see Breeding, that 9 is just, if that 9 gets any draft behind it, it's almost impossible to pass. So Springer's gonna need some help. Here comes Brandon Beal on the outside, getting a shove from Lane Sanders in the 97. This is not gonna help get past Breeding at all. Ten laps to go here at Daytona. Nick Breeding is a man on a mission. He is the one to beat right now as it stands. Brandon Beal in the 77, who has had quite the adventurous race today. Wrecked entering pit road at the first green flag stop, fell a lap down. Got the lucky dog, avoided the big one in spectacular fashion. He's now in contention for this win. Kyle Springer in the 2. He's been one of the strongest cars today, and the second most favorite driver to potentially win this right now based on the moves he's been making. But he's going to need some help here. Richard Johnson, the all-time Sony Cup win leader, made the choice to come down to the Hardee Series to help Joseph Wrigley Racing and is now trying to get them a Daytona trophy. He was dominant at the start of the race, but unfortunately that pace they had seems to be gone, but that 10 car is not going to give up. Lane Sanders in the 97 got involved in that big one actually. Sanders went around, but fortunately got basically minimal to no damage. So he is now in this fight for the win here, and what a story that could be to get involved in the big one, then win if he can get there. And last, but certainly not least, as Kyle Springer makes a move on Breeding for the lead here. Last but certainly not least, Gallon Downey in the 12. Got the caution he needed. It's been a quiet race for Downey, but he's in this, and he is trying to see if he can somehow get the lead. Unfortunately, he lost his teammates, so he's got no help. But meanwhile, Springer now next to Breeding, trying to find a way past the 9. Coming up on 7 laps to go. Kyle Springer is doing everything he can, and he's trying to find a way, but no one wants to help him. It looks like Richard Johnson now trying to power his way in the bottom lane. But that's just going to kill Springer's momentum. Breeding keeps the lead for now. Here comes Springer again. Springer now going to try and make another pass for the lead. Springer is trying everything he can right now. That too has the speed to potentially beat Breeding, but he needs help. But no one's been giving it to him. But that could be changing here. Here comes Lane Sanders in the 97. Sanders has been more helping that 9 car so far throughout this run, and I think he may have realized I may need to stop helping Breeding if I want a chance to win this. And it worked out. Breeding gets shuffled out of line with 5 laps to go here at Daytona. Kyle Springer for TJ Smith Incorporated is your leader in the 2 car. But for how long? Everyone is hungry to get past the 2 car. And we cannot forget about Breeding. We saw what he is capable of by his lonesome. He basically almost doesn't even need draft. He just needs a car to suck off of. That sounded dirtier than I meant. But look at that 9. Look at the 9. Look how well it just drafts up to the 97. No other car in this pack is drafting as well as that 9 car is right now. That thing is a bullet. Four laps to go here at Daytona. Springer and Sanders did a good job of getting the lead here, but here comes Sanders now to the bottom lane. And look at the shark behind them, Breeding. He's gonna come help Kyle Springer. Oh boy, Springer's gonna keep the lead, but now he's got a face full of Nick Breeding to deal with here. Sanders losing the speed in the bottom lane. Springer is your leader, but here comes the 9 and the draft of the century here. Look at the 9. He comes down below with 3 laps to go here at Daytona. Springer, he's got no help. And Breeding without much help at all. All he needed was a tiny bit of wake. He's got the lead back with 3 laps to go. Coming to 2 laps to go at the line. Nick Breeding, the man to beat. Can he be beaten? Couple of cars have come to pit road, short on gas, including Cameron Lessard in the 84 car. Quick mention, Bobo Jones has been pulled off track for minimum speed, so his race is over. But this is the battle for the win. Nick Breeding in the 9 with 5 cars behind him. Kyle Springer in the 2. He is the man who could possibly dethrone the champion here at Daytona if he can just get the run. Coming to the white flag, Kyle Springer. He's going to have to make the same move he made earlier. Look at the draft the 2's got. This 2's got some speed. Here he comes. Springer springs to action here. But we may have some trouble. Lap traffic ahead. Shane Eves in the 27. But look at Springer trying to make the pass. But Sanders comes up to help the 9. Springer once again's got no help. Springer on the top. He came down to help the 2 but changes his mind. He comes up to help Breeding. Turns 3 and 4. The final lap. What's going to happen with Eves? Eves goes up and towards Lane Sanders. He's going to block the top and the bottom. Off of turn 4. Nick Breeding, the defending champion, wins at Daytona. Nick Breeding capped off last year with a title, and he begins his championship campaign winning here at Daytona in a thrilling finish. He finished second here last season, picked his teammate over his own ambitions, but he got the win he wanted and needed here at Daytona. And Kyle Springer made the move, but he just got no help. I am shocked that Sanders helped the 9, considering how well that 9 was able to draft. I mean, we saw Sanders and Springer get the lead earlier, working together. But Breeding, he has won in what was an incredibly strong car. And it's an incredibly strong car that's heading to victory lane. Breeding doing an extra lap to celebrate. Don't blame him one bit. That was an incredible piece of driving by him today. Galen Downey crosses the line 3rd. Lane Sanders, his decision to help Breeding has cost him a potential 2nd or 3rd place finish. He finishes 4th. Richard Johnson for Joseph Wrigley Racing finishes 5th. Brandon Beal, his comeback story ends with a 6th place. And Cody Goforth, he was caught by the end of the 2nd pack. He finishes 7th, but that 92 team has to be really disappointed by what happened there. Noah Hart from 2 laps down finishes 8th. Christian Vargas, a quiet day at the office, finishes 9th. And Stuart Gradden finishes 10th in his return to the Hardee's National Series. Thank you for joining us here at Daytona for the FBRL Hardee's National Series and what was a very, very interesting race here. And we will see you at Dubai in a couple of weeks. Here are the results.